The other day, I aim coached an Ascendant Valorant player who used a crosshair that had a problem that I've seen in a lot of people's crosshairs in a lot of coaching sessions, even people who use some of their favorite pros' crosshairs. Before I show you what happened, if you're interested in more content like this, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. I'm almost at 20,000 subscribers, which has been a goal of mine for a while now. What's your experience so far with like mouse and keyboard, aim training, FPS games, all that stuff?
I basically started playing FPS games when the Valorant beta dropped, and then that's
Okay.
pretty much
Okay,
it.
so what have you done with Valorant so far?
um, I've hit Ascendant, and that's
Okay.
about it. Yeah.
Ascendant. Nice. And what would you say your goals are?
Um, Personally, I really enjoy competitive games. I just want to improve at it. So I eventually like to hit Immortal and then see what's up.
All right, nice. Okay, I can already see that your crosshair is very big, very far apart. Like that Chamber's head barely fit in it and he was point blank. So when you go to like long on this map, what'll
Mhm.
happen, people will be at the end of long and you'll be having to like guess where in your crosshair they are. It'll slow you down a lot and make long range fights very difficult.
So the reason behind that is I was playing on 1440p.
Okay.
So, and then I switched back to 1080 because I got a newer monitor recently.
Okay. I just you can keep the crosshair, just make the gap in the center a bit smaller so that the lines are closer together.
Okay.
On par with a lot of the Immortals I've seen, if not better.
Hmm.
But right there, a long fight, perfect is what I want to say. Like right there, you couldn't hit her head. One, because your crosshair was too big, and two, because you've probably not been able to do that much in your time. You probably don't have a ton of skill in that like level of precision. So we'll look more into that in Kovaaks. Okay, yep. Obviously, the sheriff isn't like the most accurate weapon in
Hmm.
the world, but even just looking at where your crosshair is relative to them, if it was perfectly accurate, you still wouldn't be getting like all the shots that you want to be able to get. Nice, nice. The whole point of that was to show you like what it's like with using your crosshair at long range, like 10 times 78 times over, right?
Yeah, I definitely I switched the crosshair and Kovacs because a lot of scenarios have really small targets and I couldn't do anything.
Yeah. And that's kind of my point. Like you feel it. So I'd do the same thing in Valorant because like you remember that
Yeah,
Pearl game, like you had no idea how to aim at that KO at that long range on what's it called? Like the way to be from attacker spawn. I don't know what you call it.
yeah.
So hit weapons. I want you to try something. Hit the crosshair image. See three down, two right. Three down, two right.
Yeah. Two, or this one?
Yep. Set it to point 0.6 size.
Where's the size at? I'm blind.
See the crosshair scale.
You said 0.6?
0.6. Try that. Save it and replay.
Is this a challenge? I don't know.
It doesn't matter. I just want you to feel the crosshair.
Yeah.
You're still missing some of your shots, which is perfectly fine. That'll happen, right?
Hmm.
Um, but you're actually able to tell whether or not you're on target. The other thing I'd point out is you're having a lot of that shaking issue when you get close to targets, which is, again, fine. Just try to learn to not do it.
Yeah.
You try to make it so that it's like a flick and then adjustment, flick, adjustment, flick. Nice. And then you can speed up a bit once you get good at flick adjustment, and so that you go faster, challenge yourself more. Exactly. Because static clicking scenarios like these really reward very high accuracy. They're kind of like what I think of as like the ultimate test of your technique versus your
Yeah.
speed, which is like why I kind of see them as tertiary for Valorant. Like versus faster flicking scenarios and dynamic scenarios and stuff like that, because those force you to aim how you would aim in game. And for this scenario, as you progress, you want to work on trying to go faster so that
Yeah.
it becomes harder to transition into the micro adjustment. I wouldn't focus much on accuracy at all. Like, the main focus here is trying to transition into a micro adjustment and make that micro adjustment work. Whatever accuracy happens to happen, that's fine.
Okay.
Like, obviously you don't want to be aping and missing all your shots, but at the same time, like, just focus mainly on the transition between the flick and the micro adjustment, because we'll have other scenarios for just working on that level of precise control.
Okay.
I
think that's just something I do in like prolonged aim scenarios for some reason, is I'll just like grip it too tight.
Oh, you're gripping it too.
Yeah. And I have to like remind myself to
try to relax your hand. And the one other tip, I'm not sure if you know who Yunans is.
No.
He's been known for pointing and clicking for quite some time now. That's like pretty good aimer. You know RA, you're in the RA server. Yeah, he's like one of the main guys in there. Like, probably like after Sin, he's probably like the main guy in the RA. And he just like, what he does is he tenses his leg when he starts to feel tension in his hand, right? He was telling me this. Tense your leg when you feel tension in your hand, and that helps him relax his hand. I've tried it. It doesn't work for me, but I tell people it when they say they have a tension issue just because it works for him, so it might work for you, right?
One thing I've noticed is it's not only like my hand. I feel like the hand's somewhat just like me being nervous for whatever reason, but when I'm doing it alone, I'll get it in my shoulder, like just some stiffness. So
stiffness, what do you mean by that?
Or not stiffness, like I'll start to feel it get a bit I don't want to say sore because it's not pain, but like strained. That's it.
Okay. That can happen faster if you're tensing your muscles too much. And in that case, just don't do too much with your aim just because you don't want to injure yourself, right? If you're feeling a bit of pain. And also, if your chair is a bit too low or your desk is a bit too high, then it might be that you're having to lean down too much or like lean up too much. If you're
so
like, just try and figure out, like, you want to be able to just kind of sit up straight, let your arms go down naturally, and have your elbow be relatively flush with the table.
Okay. That makes sense, actually.
Yeah. Let's watch this again. Okay, a lot of slow reactions to movement, and you kind of just give up after a certain point, so I probably will work on that. So now what happens in dynamic clicking? Let's just say this is the target, right? And you've already adjusted onto it. Your crosshair's starting very close to it. What you want to do usually is you want to go relatively smoothly, like fast, but not so fast that you over flick it or under flick it, or you're kind of shaking, you're not able to hit it. Relatively smoothly onto the target and then click it, right? And you want to try and minimize the number of adjustments, like 1, maybe 2 micro adjustments. If you're practicing, you could go for 3 since these bots are kind of hard and kind of random, but you really want to try and get like 1 micro adjustment and like just 1 flick and then a relatively smooth micro adjustment to where the bot's going, right? Like, or where it'll be, right? And just try and kill it that way, right? But what you do is you flick and then you shake around it and you do these like very much like almost hard flick like micro adjustments, like you're playing against a static target, but you're not, so the bot's always moving out from under your crosshair and you're not able to keep up with it, which results in you tracking the bot because you just have to, because you can't hit any of your shots. So from this, you got to see an example of how to improve dynamic clicking to hit more strafing enemies, and an example of why there shouldn't be a bigger gap than your enemies inside your crosshair. It creates a lot of mental work to figure out what you're supposed to aim at and just makes everything harder. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you like this kind of content.